Okay, good morning, everyone. I will now hereby call the July 17th, 2025 meeting of the ITS Board to order. Welcome, everyone, especially our guests joining via YouTube. For those of you joining via YouTube, today's agenda can be viewed at the ITS webpage, which is www.its.ms.gov, by clicking About, and then Board Meetings, and then Agenda, and then a link to today's date. If you are attending via live stream, please send an email to meetingminutes@its.ms.gov with your name and the entity you represent for the meeting minutes to reflect your attendance. We have a long agenda today, so we will dive into agenda item number 1, which is approval of the June 19th, 2025 minutes, which has previously been circulated to the board. I trust that my colleagues have had a chance to review them. Do we have any questions or comments about the meeting minutes?
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All right, the minutes are approved. Agenda item number 2, we have Matthew Livingston, Michelle Patton, Chief Information Officer, and Jason Pardo, Network Manager, which will present project number 49018 on behalf of the University of Mississippi.
Good morning. Recommendation for agenda item number 2, project number 49018, requesting approval of an exemption for the University of Mississippi, to request proposals for the acquisition of Fortinet FortiGate firewalls. The exemption procedure allows agencies and institutions to request exemption from ITS to handle specific information technology procurement projects that by law requires solicitation of bids or proposals without the involvement of ITS. The exemption procedure is designed for the projects involving traditional information technology equipment, software, or services which the institution has the in-house resources and expertise to procure. For exempted acquisitions, the purchasing institution is responsible for making the purchase within the dollar amount authorized by ITS. On the CP1 acquisition approval form and for following all applicable statutory requirements throughout the procurement process, including but not limited to those outlined in Title 25, Chapter 53 of Mississippi Code. seeks to procure Fortinet FortiGate 6001F firewalls to replace the current east-west firewalls that are becoming end of life. New firewalls will provide a modular, high throughput platform with integrated threat protection, deep packet inspection, and support for multi-tenancy using virtual domains. The staff of ITS and jointly recommend the approval of the exemption request at a total 5-year life cycle cost of $2,400,000. Will solicit proposals in accordance with all statutory requirements for such acquisitions. From to answer any questions regarding this project is Jason Pardo, Network Manager, and Michelle Patton, Chief Information Officer.
Thank you, Jason and Michelle. Do we have any questions? Questions or comments from the board? All right, do we have
You're on mute, Keith.
Thank you. Sorry, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The request is approved.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, agenda item number 3, we have Danetta Durr, Esther Slay, and Al Falk presenting on behalf of UMMC. Thank you. Welcome.
Okay. Agenda item number 3 is the recommendation for project 48976 to request approval for an increase to the exemption request for core point support and maintenance for the University of Mississippi Medical Center. In August of 2020, UMMC requested an exemption to conduct a competitive procurement for an enterprise integration interface engine. UMMC issued RFP number 1224, where CorePoint was selected as the awarded vendor. UMMC is now seeking to maintain continued support and maintenance with CorePoint, as well as purchase additional licenses and support to allow for future growth of the product. The CorePoint integration engine is used to facilitate the exchange of data between Epic and various UMMC applications, as well as other healthcare organizations. The CorePoint servers are virtual servers and are part of UMMC server infrastructure, which is housed at the ITS State Data Center. The staffs of ITS and the UMMC jointly recommend approval of this $1,152,626.88 increase to the original exemption request for a revised not to exceed a total estimated 20-year life cycle cost of $2,826,866.36. With me today to answer any questions you may have are Esther Slay, Director of DIS Operations, and Al Falk, Applications Officer.
Thank you and welcome. Any questions or comments from the board?
Just one question. I was just curious. I mean, I'm very familiar with these interface engines and all the connections you have to make, obviously, but I'm not familiar with CorePoint. I remember we proved this back a few years ago. I mean, has it been working well for you and getting what you want out of it?
It has, and we've got a staff who are very fluent in making it hum along. Just the recent growth and the things we've been doing, we need to keep it rolling along, but also have that ability to expand, to take on the new systems and things like that. So it functions very well, and our crew is very good at it.
I've been familiar with several interface engines over the years. Is it, and I'm just asking just for curiosity, is it a relatively newer product, or has it been around and I'm just not familiar with it?
It's been around. I think we've been using bits and pieces of it for better than a decade now. As we built out the Epic piece, I'll be honest, I don't remember what we were using prior to Epic being here, but it's been synonymous with all of our Epic work as far as I can remember back.
Good. Thanks, Al.
Absolutely, Keith.
Madam Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve.
Thank you. I have a motion. I've got a
I'll
second
second.
from Keith. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm an aye, and the request is approved.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Okay, it looks like Danetta is sticking around, and she's being joined by Alan Burrow, Associate State Superintendent, who will present agenda item number 4 on behalf of the Mississippi Department of Education. Thank you and welcome.
All right, thank you. So before I begin, Alan Burrow was supposed to attend, but in his place we have Melissa Beck, and she's with MDE, and so she's the K-3 assessment coordinator, so she'll be in his place as answering all questions.
Okay.
Okay, so for agenda item number 4 is the recommendation for project 48090 to request approval for an exemption request for the Mississippi Department of Education to solicit proposals from qualified vendors to provide kindergarten readiness assessment. Passed during the 2013 legislative session, the Literacy-Based Promotion Act places an emphasis on grade level reading skills, particularly as students progress from kindergarten through grade 3. State statute requires that MDEs shall select an early literacy and numeracy screening assessment instrument or instruments to be used throughout the state in the screening of students in kindergarten through grade 3. And this is coming from Mississippi Code Statute 372316 and Mississippi Code Statute 37177.5. The Mississippi Department of Education Office of Student Assessment is requesting this exemption to solicit proposals for kindergarten readiness assessment solution for 5 years with renewal options. The kindergarten readiness assessment provides parents, teachers, and early childhood providers with a common understanding of what children know and can do upon entering school. The staffs of ITS and MDE jointly recommend approval of the exemption request at a total estimated 5-year life cycle cost of $3,400,000. And MDE will solicit proposals in accordance with all statutory requirements for such acquisitions. And again, with me today to answer any questions that you all may have is Melissa Beck, and she's the K-3 assessment coordinator.
Thank you both. Thanks, Melissa. Any questions or comments from the board? All right, do I have a
Madam
motion?
Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Do I have a
Second.
second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Request is approved. All right, agenda item number 5. We have some familiar names. Rashonda Grindle, Mark Allen, Chief Information Officer, and Thomas Hederman, Support Operations Manager, will present agenda item number 5, submitted by the Mississippi Department of Human Services.
Good morning. I don't know what's going on with my camera. Agenda item number 5 is for the recommendation for project number 4905 submitted under the ITS Plan Purchase Procedures by the Mississippi Department of Human Services, MDHS. MDHS requires secure and efficient ways to communicate and collaborate across divisions and departments due to the state agency handling sensitive data that requires strict security and compliance with government regulations. Microsoft Office 365 government environments are designed specifically to meet stringent security and compliance requirements. O365 government also enables mobile productivity and secure access, allowing state employees to work efficiently regardless of location. The plan purchase procedure allows an agency or institution to make purchases that exceed the cost limit of an express products list. An agency using the EPL plan purchase procedure is given authorization up to a specified dollar amount to make identified procurements from the EPLs without further ITS involvement. For this particular purchase, the EPL is the National Association of State Procurement Officials Value Point Software Value Added Reseller Cooperative, which was the result of a former competitive solicitation and is in alignment with Mississippi Public Purchasing Law. SHI offered MDHS the lowest price for the current purchase of Microsoft products for 3 years. Because this project is over the ITS established $3 million for the NASPO SFAR purchase limit for Microsoft products, it is subject to full ITS review and authorization. The staffs of ITS and MDHS jointly recommends the approval of the planned purchase request to purchase Microsoft EA software from SHI at a total 3-year life cycle cost of $3,710,236.74 using the NASPO Software Value Added Reseller Cooperative. With me today to answer any questions you may have is Mark Allen, Chief Information Officer, and Thomas Hederman, Support Operations Manager.
Thank you and welcome. Any questions or comments? We can see you now, Rashonda.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I would make a motion to approve as
Thank you,
requested.
Mr. Cook. Second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Wicker. All those in favor say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. All right, the request is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Moving on to agenda item number 7, we have Rashonda Grindle, Kim Wood, Chief Information Officer, and Bobby Sterling, Information Technology Manager, who will present on behalf of the Mississippi Department of Mental Health.
Agenda item number 7 is for the recommendation for project number 49007 to utilize the award of RFP number 2021-05-068 issued by the state of Maine for the acquisition of a behavioral health electronic health record system for all intellectual developmental disability programs for the Mississippi Department of Mental Health, MDMH. Please be aware the write-up included in the board's packet listed the date as January of 2022. The correct board presentation date is January 2025. In January 2025, MDMH came before the ITS board to request approval to utilize the award of RFP number 2021-05-068 issued by the state of Maine to acquire an EHR for the 5 state psychiatric mental health facilities. Now MDMH proposes to implement a new state-of-the-art EHR system specifically designed to support IDD programs using the same state of Maine RFP award. The system will address the identified business needs and regulatory requirements specific to IDD services and will be centrally hosted and accessible to the 5 IDD mental health facilities across the state. The staffs of ITS and MDMH jointly recommends the selection of NetSmart Technologies Inc. to provide a behavioral health electronic health record system for the IDD programs at a total 5-year life cycle cost of $18,489,305. With me today to answer any questions you may have is Ken Wood, CIO, and Bobby Sterling, IT Director.
Thank you and welcome. Any questions or comments from the board?
Chairman, I've got a few questions.
Please, Mr.
Uh,
Cunningham.
So help me understand, you're currently on NetSmart or Tier today. It's an on-premise system. They're sunsetting it sounds like March 31st. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And usually when a company is going to sunset a product, they usually will give you multiple years of notification. So how long have we known that this was going to occur?
They notified us in October of 2024. And we have been discussing that with them because our original contract states they have to support it for 5 years. They are willing to go past that date. But that was the initial date that we were given.
So if you convert over to their cloud-based system, they'll give you an additional 6 months or 9 months of support.
Well, we have discussed with them that time frame is not doable with this large of an implementation. And like I said, our original contract stated that they had to provide support for a minimum of 5 years if the system were to be discontinued. So we have been talking with them. They are willing to go past the extended support date of December of 2026. But we are still in the hopes of getting pretty close to that date, if not soon after, to get the tier replaced.
So are they sunsetting all their products?
No, just tier.
When I say all the products, so they're sunsetting Tier though. Is there a replacement for Tier?
Well, that's what they're moving toward is the system that we are requesting, which is the My Avatar system, to be that is what they're moving everybody to.
So if you move to their cloud-based My Avatar system, then you're just continue on working, doing what you're doing with them. You could.
Basically, it's just a different platform.
Right. But where you're going to now is a significant increase in cost, correct?
Yes, sir.
From like $350,000 a year to over $2 million a year. Are you going to get, is there that much value in that transition? Or if you went to My Avatar, does it go up by that much too, or does it stay relatively low like the 350 you have today?
Well, I mean, if we have to transition to any cloud-based system, the price is going to go up significantly. The pricing that we have right now is, it's an old system, so it has not increased significantly throughout the life of the system. And there are, additional costs with having on-premise equipment and management that would be eliminated if we go to the cloud-based system.
I understand that. I guess my question is, and I mean, you got to have this system, and changing an EHR in a few months is a very challenging a project as it is. And it sounds like these guys have notified us years in advance, like they should have, and they have an alternative, but you've elected not to use that alternative and to go with the other system that the state of, I forgot what state, Maine or somebody is using. Is that
No,
correct?
This is the alternative.
This is My Avatar?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So it is more expensive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. I didn't get that out of the documentation. Maybe I didn't read it close enough. So you're staying with NetSmart.
Correct.
You're just going to their next generation system, and they're sunsetting all the tier products, on-premise and cloud-based.
Well, tier is not cloud-based. It's all on-premise.
Okay.
Yeah, and sir, I will say that this is Bobby from Ellisville. We've been on tier for about 15 years now.
Right.
Tier was not an original NetSmart product. Tier was originally put out by a company about 9 or 10 years ago.
I think we lost you, Bobby, for a second. Could you repeat that?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry. I was just saying that tier in the very beginning, we've been on it for about 15 years, a little over 15 years. It was originally by a company called Sequest. NetSmart took it over about 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. So it was never an original NetSmart product. It was just a product that they, I guess, inherited through some type of company buyout or something like that. So they're, like Ms. Kim said, they're discontinuing it, and we're just wanting to move to one of their actual NetSmart products to make up the difference.
My only point there is, and I appreciate the explanation, that makes more sense now. And I'm very familiar with a lot of the systems that the state mental health has been using over the many, many years. There's been a lot of changes and transitions, and I'm kind of familiar with what you just described, Bobby. But is that the increase in cost is really significant.
Yes, sir.
So just want to make sure we're doing the right thing here. It sounds like you are.
Okay. Thank you, Keith. Any other questions or comments? All
Madam
right.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve as requested.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Wicker. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Any opposed? The request is approved. Thank
I have
you.
one question.
Okay.
I believe we jumped from agenda number 5 straight to 7.
I apologize. I was about to go back to number 6. My sincerest apologies to Mr. Livingston and Mr. Panton. We will now hop back a step to agenda item number 6, where Matthew Livingston and Michael Panton, Chief Information Officer, will present Project 49137 on behalf of the Mississippi Department of Child Protection Services.
Good morning.
Morning.
Recommendation for agenda item number 6, project number 49137, submitted under the ITS Plan Purchases Procedure by Mississippi Department of Child Protection Services, MD CPS. CPS relies on Microsoft products to carry out daily business of the agency. This renewal will allow CPS access to a comprehensive and cost-effective solution that is scalable to the agency's staff and usage changes. CPS is looking to renew with the awarded vendor for 3 years until July 31st, 2028. Insight offers CPS the lowest price for this current purchase of Microsoft products for 3 years. Because this project is over the ITS established $3 million NASPO SFAR purchase limit for Microsoft products, it is subject to full ITS review and authorization. The staff of ITS and CPS jointly recommend the approval of the planned purchases request to purchase a Microsoft Enterprise Agreement from Insight Public Sector, Inc. at a total 3-year lifecycle cost of $4,268,379.69 using the NASPO Software Value Added Reseller Cooperative. From CPS to answer any questions regarding this project is Michael Panton, Chief Information Officer.
Thank you, Matthew, and welcome, Michael. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I'll move approval as submitted. I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Wicker. Mr. Cook, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. The request is approved. And again, sorry about jumping ahead.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 8, we have Rashonda Mitchell, John Hunt, Deputy Commissioner of Institutions, Audrey McAfee, Deputy Administrator for Technology and Program Services, and Ron Gordon, Radio Frequency Consultant, and they will present on behalf of the Mississippi Department of Corrections. Thank you and welcome.
Good morning. Agenda item number 8 is for project number 47925 for the evaluation and recommendation of proposals received in response to RFP number 4581 for the acquisition of a cell phone interdiction system for the Mississippi Department of Corrections. MDOC operates 6 correctional facilities throughout the state that houses over 10,000 inmates. The use of contraband wireless devices causes significant security risks within correctional facilities. MDOC seeks to procure and implement a cell phone interdiction system capable of detecting and disabling contraband devices while ensuring compliance with all regulatory requirements. In response to RFP number 4581, 2 proposals were received: OmniProfits Corporation and T-Core Incorporated. The table on page 8.1 summarizes the evaluation of the proposals received. The staffs of ITS and MDOC jointly recommend the selection of OmniProfits Corporation as the lowest and best vendor responding to RFP number 4581 to provide a cell phone interdiction system at an estimated life cycle cost of $26,231,200. With me to answer any questions from the Department of Corrections are John Hunt, Deputy Commissioner of Institutions, Audrey McAfee, Deputy Administrator for Technology Program Services, and Ron Gordon, Radio Frequency Consultant.
Thank you and welcome. Any questions, comments from the board?
I have a couple. So life cycle cost, what are we, over what time frame are we basing the life cycle cost on?
I believe the evaluation in the table was over 5 years. But the monies that were available don't match up with that. But right now, and what you're looking at of what you received was over 5 years, 5-year support plus implementation.
Yeah, so I'm a little broken on this then. So inside the commentary here, estimated 5-year total $6.5 million. Is that per facility?
No, that was the original before the bids were, that was the original when you all approved for us to go out for RFP. That was just an estimate at the time, no, not knowing what we would receive in by way of bids. So that table is pretty much, I was told that it wasn't changed because it was in the original solicitation that was approved for the RFP solicitation, but you can see that the monies came in much higher than that.
Got it. That now makes a little more sense. And of this $26 million, how much of it is implementation versus ongoing?
With the monies available, the DOC has ratcheted down its request to 2 facilities, Walnut Grove and Unit 17 at Parchman. The total initial deployment is $3.017 million, and support costs add up to a total for a 3-year life cycle cost of $3.77 million. And that was based on available funding at this time. But the original solicitation helps us, if monies are ever become available, we can continue on with the project. So that was why it was, left in there at the 26 million. But the available funds are a little less than 4 million.
And why are we so far apart on what we thought it was going to cost versus what it actually costs?
We could not have dreamed that it would cost this much, that they would come in at that level.
And I mean, was there anything in the proposals that kind of indicated, were the technical requirements different?
No, not really. There were standard requirements for this type of system. We used specs that we had found in other DOCs in the South Carolina Department of Corrections, and we looked at another Department of Corrections. So the specs were they were not abnormal specs.
I mean, you can I'm sure you can appreciate. There's a huge discrepancy between an estimate of $4 or $5 million and $25 million, a 5x cost increase there. That just seems that shocks the conscience at some level, right?
And
Yes,
for
sir, it did.
basically the same functionality, right? You're not really gaining any new features.
The features are for what we did was we reduced the footprint to just 2 facilities, Walnut Grove, which would be a new implementation, and one Parchman. If you it's laid out where each unit can stand alone. So we focused on just one unit where the worst of the worst inmates will be housed, and Walnut Grove is also one of our max security facilities. And so we just had to narrow down what we could do with the monies that we've already received in grant funds. And if some more funds become available, then we can expand out as we had initially had desired to do.
Okay, it is a lot of money. I hear, I echo Mr. Henderson's reservations. Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion?
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve as requested.
A motion to approve as requested. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Holly, can you give me a count on that? I couldn't see all board members.
It's 3-2.
Okay. The motion carries. The request is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, we will move to agenda item number 9. Here to present is Rashonda Mitchell and Ben Cohen, Chief Information Officer, on behalf of the Mississippi Department of Transportation.
Agenda item number 9 is for project number 48864 for the evaluation and recommendation of bids received in response to IFB number 4687 for the acquisition of Trimble equipment for the Mississippi Department of Transportation. MDOT conducts extensive field surveying operations across the state to support planning, design, and construction activities. Surveying is a critical component of MDOT's workflow and is essential for collecting accurate data in roadway and infrastructure design. MDOT seeks to procure surveying equipment to support ongoing future infrastructure projects, meet federal standards, and enhance overall project delivery across the department. In response to IFB number 4687, one bid was received from Navigation Electronics Incorporated. The table on page 9.1 summarizes the evaluation of the bid received. The staffs of ITS and MDOT jointly recommend the selection of Navigation Electronics Incorporated as the lowest and best vendor responding to IFB number 4687 to provide Trimble equipment at a 3-year life cycle cost of $1,712,936.53. With me to answer any questions from MDOT is Ben Cohen, Chief Information Officer.
Thank you and welcome. Any comments or questions from the board?
I have several.
Anderson?
So one of them is in here, District 6 and District 7 are allocated significantly more money. Do they have more teams or more projects? Why does that exist?
They could have more projects or more people on their team. You know, you're busy. There's a lot of work going on in District 6 down on the coast, obviously, but the requests come in from the survey teams from MDOT based on what they need. And so that's how we built the quantities in the IFB. So it was we have a state surveying state surveyor who works with each district on their request. And the district survey teams come up with the quantities that they need based on the amount of workload that they have, based probably on the number of projects that they have in their district.
And that was actually another one of my questions, which is that, you know, there's this kind of in here in the cost benefit of analysis, you know, it says, hey, look, you know, if you're, you know, farming this out, you're going to spend this much money on 10 projects a year. I got to think that MDOT's doing more than 10 surveys a year, but what is the number?
I don't have that number off the top of my head. I can tell you this, that they're out there on construction projects daily. Go ahead.
So, I mean, I've got some pretty detailed questions in terms of, you know, how many survey teams do we have? How many people are actually employed by MDOT to do surveys? And how many systems does this actually cover?
Okay, so if you don't mind, I do have Ron Hillman on the call. He's one of our state surveys, state surveyors. And if he can probably share some of this information with you quicker than I can.
Okay, sure.
Yes, we probably have, there's going to be 5 to 7 survey crews per district. We have 6 districts throughout the state. Projects going on at any time. It just depends on which district. I would say there's way more than 10, like you were saying. There's probably 45 to 50 surveying projects going on at any time.
Okay.
One thing I was going to bring up too is the survey equipment's obviously being used for pre-construction activities. You know, it's also used during a construction project to help hold the road builders accountable to meet the plant specs. So they're out there surveying on a daily basis, and that's how they also compute quantities, use things of that nature that would help us come up with our construction estimates. In addition to that, the equipment has been used at times to collect roadway assets such as sign locations, guardrail place locations, things of that nature, roadway characteristics, lane widths, things of that nature that we have to collect for federal highway. So they're used in a variety of ways, pre-construction, construction activities, post-construction for our as-built plans to make sure that we have a good collection of information to adjusting the plans towards our as-builts. So just kind of giving you a heads up on some of the other uses of them.
And so does this investment, does it offset any existing survey costs? Like, I mean, are we not farming out work, or do we still have to farm out work for independent, reasons or something of that nature?
No, I mean, it's all, as far as I know, all the surveying is done pretty much in-house, for the pre-construction. Ron can probably elaborate a little bit more on that. I don't think we're, farming a whole lot of this out. I mean, there's maybe been some projects, some larger projects where we've had some of the road builders maybe collect some information, some data. I know we've done some roadway assets that get delivered to us at the end of a project that they go ahead and do. So we may not have to go out there and do that kind of data collection, but most of it's done in-house.
Okay. And then, so and people know this, I get annoyed by sole source. And something like this where I go, the survey equipment, there are lots of manufacturers that make survey equipment. There are lots of people that work in this space. I'm just shocked that it is a sole source effectively. I realize it's not sole source in the sense of you directed it to this particular person, but when only one person bids on the work, that just shocks the conscience to some level. So why would that be in this case?
The original bid, the original 3-year leases that we did 3 years ago when we did the first leases, it was Trimble or equivalent for the equipment. And at that time, we only received one bid. It was NEI, and it was for the Trimble equipment. So it was open such that another manufacturer could have jumped in and put a bid in at that point in time. But once we got all the equipment, we got the leases. The Trimble equipment has a lot of functionality, a lot of the workflows, software workflows, and the integrations with our Bentley MicroStation products that we have. It all works real well together. It may be something we have to visit in the future, what you're talking about, if we have to open it back up. But the original 3-year lease was open to competition.
Interesting.
From that perspective.
Okay. And then we're leasing basically a capability. If a machine goes down, they drop in a new one on top of you and take the old one back.
Yes, sir. That's
right.
NEI works really well with us on that. So that's one reason they wanted the lease, is because they get that kind of that response from the vendor.
Yeah. Now, if it's being used all the time, the right way to do it is to lease it, because you're not leasing the equipment, you're leasing a capability.
That's right.
That's the right way to do it. Okay, thank you.
And how many units or how many pieces of equipment?
I have that open. So if you want me to take you through it real quick, I can. It's like there's several different parts. Okay. So if you're looking at District 2, you got about 2 of looks like the total stations.
Tell me the smallest and the largest.
The largest
Coast is the largest, you said, District 6?
It looks like we got nine pieces going to District 3. That's probably the largest. 14 going to 6. That's the largest.
And is that because of construction in 6 or?
And then it's a big breakdown. It's a lot of different pieces because you got toll stations, you got rover units and things of that nature. So there's a lot of pieces of equipment on that IP. To answer your question, yes, I'm sure it has to do with the amount of workload, number of projects that they have.
Okay.
For instance, District 5 is Jackson, Meridian. You're talking about the central. That's kind of central Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
District 6 is going to take care of your coast. So you're talking about how I-10, the Highway 49 corridor, all the way up to Hattiesburg. When you look at District 3, for instance, District 3 is kind of your Delta region, and it goes through Warren County and cuts over to Copike County. And then you're looking at District 1, that's kind of up around Tupelo, the northeast section of the state. So where you have more of our bigger cities, big populations like DeSoto County, I-55, or you have the coast where I-10, where you have those bigger counties, those bigger district areas, you're going to
Yeah.
have more work going on.
Follows the population density. Okay. All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions from the board?
One more question along that line. If it's not being used in one district and you need something in the other, do you move devices between districts?
I don't know how often that happens with survey equipment. Ron can check in on that one if he doesn't mind. But I will say this: the districts are used to sharing equipment, and that goes to even heavy equipment. If there's a particular, 80 foot bucket truck, for instance, we don't have many of those. Those things like that do get shared across.
Right.
That. Matter of fact, we have to use it from time to time for some of the traffic cams that are really high around the stack area, things of that nature. Most time we get by with a 55 foot, but sometimes we have to borrow that 80. So those things do get passed around. I just don't know how often it happens on survey. I think Ron's going to say something though.
Yes, we do share equipment, and that's the good thing about all having the same type and same brand.
Right.
Is we can share if we need, if workload increases in a certain area.
And you feel pretty good that this number of pieces is not a surplus, but it is what is needed.
Correct.
Ben, and I don't see this in the cost benefit analysis or the alternative solutions, but maybe next time, I mean, the state of Mississippi is probably big enough that where this might actually make sense. I mean, we could effectively almost be self-insured. You could buy and own enough of this equipment and be able to move it amongst all of the groups. And so, leasing is, I would say, is generally the right way. But in some cases, I mean, you could, potentially for $1.7 million, park a guy in some central location, like, Gulfport. And, he could take care of all the equipment and keep it up to date and, make sure that it was all that, and then, rotate it through the state. That might be something to look at in the future. I'm not hard set on that today, but I mean, $1.7 million for survey equipment. I realize, I mean, you got a bunch of it. I think Chris's question was well placed there, and being self-insured at some level, where you have enough that you can move around the state, might be an appropriate thing to do.
Yeah, Mark, I think Tom was going to say Tupelo is more centrally located, but
I mean,
I can't speak.
Definitely.
I mean, I don't know if anybody noticed that I slipped that in, but
I did.
In District 1 and District 4, they don't need equipment. I mean, is that, or they just they
Interestingly enough, MDOT does not have a District 4. 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7.
There's got to be a great story there.
I do need you to come over to Tupelo and locate a right of way for me. In connection with the Water Management District, we're trying to put up a fence.
I'm going to ask Brad White if he's in charge of the district number.
He is, and look, District 1 is located in the district headquarters is located in Tupelo, so right down the road from you.
Yeah, need to share the love. Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to accept this.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Thank you, Mr. Cook. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The request is approved.
Thank y'all.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 10, we have Nita Kaler, who will present the ITS 5-year strategic plan for fiscal years 27 through 31.
Good morning. Today we are presenting the 5-year strategic plan for fiscal years 2027 through 2031, covering the period from July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2031. The Mississippi Performance Budget and Strategic Planning Act of 1994 mandates state agencies develop and submit a 5-year strategic plan aligning with their annual budget request, which Holly will be presenting next after me. The legislative budget offices establish strategic planning guidelines and encourage agencies to focus on long-term planning. While I won't review the document section by section, I do want to highlight several key points with the plan. The state recognizes the need to modernize procurement practices to remain agile and strategic. The Procurement Modernization Advisory Council was established under state law to evaluate and improve current procurement systems. This ongoing focus in collaboration and innovation ensures Mississippi remains responsive and resilient in rapidly evolving digital landscape. Next is creating a Cloud Center of Excellence with the aim of establishing a centralized framework to guide and standardize cloud adoption across the state agencies. By providing governance, best practices, and support, the Cloud Center of Excellence helps agencies navigate cloud migration, improve cost efficiency, and enhance security and ensure compliance. As part of our long-term strategic vision, establishing an AI innovation hub is a key objective. ITS is working with agencies and private partners to use artificial intelligence to make government services faster, smarter, and more efficient. ITS is also making sure AI is used responsibly and supports Mississippi's long-term goals for innovation, transparency, and better service delivery. We are planning to establish a digital services team to improve how citizens engage with government online. This team will focus on user-centered design, making digital tools more intuitive, accessible, and inclusive for all Mississippians. By working with agencies to modernize systems and enhance digital experiences, the team will ensure services are easy to use, secure, and consistent across all platforms. This initiative supports better service delivery, builds public trust, and positions Mississippi as a leader in digital government. Mississippi's legislature has created a technology innovation fund to help state agencies quickly test and adopt new technologies. This flexible funding is designed to support pilot projects that improve services, boost efficiency, and address changing citizen needs without the delays of traditional budgeting. More than just funding, it promotes a culture of innovation and collaboration. The plan also addresses various external and internal factors that are expected to impact our operations. These include managing the fragmented statewide technology expenditures and addressing the workforce challenges such as retention, recruitment, and training. Data exchange in a decentralized IT environment makes integration complex. We also anticipate changes in technology, particularly in areas like cybersecurity, cloud computing, and generative AI, and their potential implications. Additionally, each year there are opportunities for statutory and legislative changes that may impact our long-term strategies, so frequent review is required. We respectively request approval of the ITS 5-year strategic plan and will happily answer any questions.
Thank you, Nita. Any questions or comments? Well, it will no doubt be a busy next 5 years for all of us.
Absolutely.
Do I have a motion to approve the plan?
I just got one question,
Okay.
Madam Chairman. Based on the fragmentation that you were just mentioning, I mean, have we made any, are we going to make any progress on that, do you determine, or are we still going to stay pretty much like we are for the next foreseeable future?
Craig?
Yeah. Excellent pivot, Nita. Excellent
Yeah,
pivot.
here comes the bus. I'm calling you out.
Yeah, I think the way to answer that question is I think structurally from a government perspective, I think it's going to stay pretty much structured like it is.
Yeah.
What I'll talk about, Keith, in my update is I think, not only is ITS, the way we're organized, going to change, the creation of a new strategy group that's going to be basically focused on getting people around the table, right, to build consensus on these solutions. And I'm going to touch on 3 or 4 of those, Keith, here in a few minutes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairwoman, I would make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Van Camp. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All right, the request is approved. The plan is approved. Next up, agenda item number 11, we have Holly, who will present on behalf of ITS our budget request for the fiscal year 2027. Welcome, Holly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As mentioned, I am presenting the ITS fiscal year 2027 budget request. Everyone should have received a copy via email of the budget sheet. I'm sure you've all noticed that it does look a little different this year. I think we've presented the same format since prior to my time at ITS, so at least 15 years. So we wanted to spice some things up a little bit this year. But if anybody wants to see the line item details, I do have a copy, and I will be glad to email that to anyone that would like. So if you guys will start from the top left of the sheet, we are requesting 67.6 million, and this is a 31% increase compared to fiscal year 26. As Nita mentioned previously, we have a lot of initiatives on the horizon. The primary drivers for our budget request are salaries alignment and contractual services to support these strategic initiatives. The legislators were very favorable in our fiscal year 26 appropriation, and we were appropriated 9 new positions. So this brings our total appropriation from 132 to 141. We are requesting an increase of 9.2 million in general funds. This increase includes additional funding for salaries of 1.2 million, and this will cover salary alignment and unfunded vacancies. Currently, 68% of our agency is not in the correct pay zone based on the compensation system guidelines. So we've adopted a multi-year phased approach with the goal to get all employees in the appropriate zones based on experience and performance. Using this approach, we believe this will take a few years to get all staff in the appropriate zones, as our cumulative agency average is around 10 years of experience. So in order to be able to recruit and hire new positions and be competitive within the market, we need current positions in the appropriate pay zones. Also included in the general fund request is an $8 million increase in our contractual services category. This includes funding for contractual inflationary increases for staggered contract expirations. A couple examples of those. We negotiated our physical security guard contract pre-COVID at a 5-year rate, and this expired in April of 2025. And as you all are well aware of the cost from pre-COVID to now, we had a 64% increase in those contractual rates. Another example, our telecommunication service contract that was brought to the board last month to publish the RFP. This expires in December. This contract was negotiated in 2017. So we are also anticipating some moderate to potentially significant rate increases with that contract. And those are just a couple in the inflationary category. As Dr. Orgeron has mentioned in previous board meetings, we did form the Procurement Modernization Advisory Council, which includes ITS staff, 30 partner agencies, and we hired on a consultant to help with procurement reform. The resulting recommendations from this group will likely require both staffing and continued financial investments. Some other contractual enhancements that we've added this year include a new legal firm to help with contractual legal issues. We have enhanced some of our internal systems, and we'd like to continue these investments into fiscal year 27 with the potential of implementing a new procurement system. Part of the procurement modernization has been implementing new purchasing mechanisms for our customer agencies to utilize. In the past 6 months, we, ITS, as a customer of procurement, have been able to take advantage of some of these new procurement vehicles. We were able to utilize the new camera EPL and complete a procurement for a new integrated system within a little over 30 days. This procurement vehicle significantly reduced the time limitations we faced with previous purchasing processes. And to top it all off, the new system, including implementation and migration cost, it will cost us less than the maintenance of the current system. So even though there is an overall increase in our contractual requests, we are constantly evaluating all expenditures in order to maximize efficiency and minimize cost. We are requesting additional contractual funding to build upon the foundation of the Cloud Center of Excellence in order to have a cloud-forward environment for all of our customer agencies. In fiscal year 25, we upgraded our core routers to 100 GPS links, and we've eliminated network congestion and achieved a marked improvement in performance. This strategic right-sizing ensures the stability of current service levels while simultaneously prepares our infrastructure for future demands from cloud migrations, real-time analytics, and AI. The fiscal year 27 request includes services such as implementing, expanding the cloud border, increased cloud utility costs, the use of professional services to upgrade legacy ticketing systems, and services for the continuation of the voice over IP cabling project. Right now, our request is heavy on the general fund investment as we implement the strategic initiatives that were supported by the legislature, specifically procurement modernization and cloud center of excellence. These were two initiatives that were line itemed in our fiscal year 26 budget appropriation. If you move over to the far right column, we are requesting 6.8 million special fund net increase. There will be an estimated decrease of $1.5 million in special funds. We received capital expense funding in fiscal year 25, and this is expected to be fully utilized in fiscal year 26 to continue the voice over IP project. We're also requesting an increase in our spoke funding to have additional authority to pass through bill in anticipation of increased cloud usage. We are requesting an additional 8.3 million in pass-through funds to support this strategic initiative. If you look in the middle of the sheet, this is just a 3-year trend of our two highest categories, salaries and contractual. IT spending for the state has increased 40% in the past 3 years in the contractual services category. And on the bottom, there's a budget history, a 3-year budget history. So we will continue to request adequate funds to support the state's mission critical applications, infrastructure, and resources. And we believe that this requested increase will allow ITS to continue to meet the needs of our agencies. So in summary, here's some big numbers. We are requesting a general fund increase in the amount of $37,693,453. A spoke request in the amount of $29,871,878 for a total fiscal year 2027 budget request of $67,565,331. So with this, Madam Chair, this concludes my report. If there are no questions, I request approval to submit the ITS fiscal year 2027 budget request.
Thank you, Holly. Any questions or comments from the board?
I would simply make a comment, Madam Chair. And Craig and I have talked about this historically, but the criticality of getting employees the right pay scale, that's super important. I want employees to hear that from the board as well, that I have been a proponent of that. Everybody's heard me harp on, brain drain and keeping people in Mississippi and keeping our dollars in Mississippi. And those are critical steps to making that happen. So I just want everybody to hear that from the board.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Well put and very worthwhile comment. Holly, can you remind me a little bit or just generally describe for everyone the hub and spoke model?
Sure. So our hub fund, we coined the term, is our general fund operational budget. And we use this to fund salaries, our physical security guard, the contracts, kind of keep the lights on, any service that we implement that cannot be specifically allocated to an agency. And then on the spoke side, this is our special fund, and it's really just authority. We don't really have a spending budget. They give us spending authority to pass through bill services that are directly utilized from each using agency. And the agencies get to pick. So these include cloud services, security services, VPN, data, telephones, and they determine their need and what they want to use. And then we are just the conduit to verify the contractual rates for these managed service providers and pass it back through with no upcharge.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that explanation. It's good to be reminded, and there may be some watching that we're not familiar with that concept at all.
Thank you for that prompt.
So, yep. Any other questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to submit as presented.
And I have a second from Mr. Henderson. Thank you. All in favor, raise your hand and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved.
Thank you, Madam Chair and the rest of the board.
Thank you, Holly. Okay, next we will move to agenda item number 12 and report by our own executive director to approval of the summary of equipment, software and services, exemptions, and sole source procurements.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Here's
Let me-
spokesman himself.
Indeed. But let me just start with a comment right on the tail end of what we talked about. So the hub and spoke budget, I think to kind of overlay a comment, what we want to do is to, on the hub side of the guts of ITS, to be as lean and efficient as possible, because those are general fund dollars, right? So Holly made one comment about the spending increase. There has been, over a 5-year period, about a 30% overall spending increase in the state from a technology perspective, which of course ITS thinks it's a good thing, right? I mean, to use technology with our agencies. That said, though, I think, being the hub in the hub and spoke, we need to really seek to get ITS where it needs to be, right? As Mr. Henderson said, the skills of our folks, being able to recruit and retain, the criticality of not just, building out these shared services from a consensus perspective that agencies can consume. It's really important to also acknowledge that when that consumption is made, there's two critical parts. One, there's no upcharge, right? So it is at cost. When we cut these deals, presuming that it's at the enterprise level, you want that you presume the very, very best deal, and there's no upcharge. So sharing makes sense. Number one. Number two, these dollars are often buttressed with other monies. It's either special funds or a 60-40 match with the federal government. So in attempting to sort of keep the hub, the general fund, right, as lean as it can and grow services, we're basically offsetting general fund dollars, right? The more of those services are shared, the general fund spend is actually less at scale. And I think that's an important point to make. So, Madam Chair, as you noted, with our 5-year strategic plan, it's going to be busy. And it is, I use the word fun at ITS. Sometimes I get a crazy look, but we have a lot of pretty amazing things. So I know it's been a long meeting, but let me run through some of these strategic initiatives and just give you a sense of where we are. And as always, more than happy to take questions. So a couple of times you heard about our procurement modernization effort. The 30 largest agencies in government that represent about 98 or 99% of the total spend are at the table, having conversations with us about what ITS needs to do from a procurement perspective. It is the first time that the agency has approached it that way, to really have a conversation about what that needs to be done. So our partner is ASI Government. We had a very good meeting in June. I think June, July, August, and September are going to be the meat of the work to kind of create this roadmap. And I'll continue to keep the board plugged in. So looping back to one of the comments that Mr. Van Camp made, folks around the table, right? Folks around the table talking about what we need to do. On our Cloud Center of Excellence, which was in House Bill 1491, we have provided 34 agencies that currently use the private cloud some lift and shift projections of what a migration to the cloud might need to be. It was sort of step one in getting our CCOE moving and stood up. We also envision an advisory council for CCOE, where we're going to sit around the table with the mission that the bill directs us to put in place and talk about what this program needs to look like with our partner agencies. A very similar approach with Senate Bill 2267, the Statewide Data Exchange, which seeks to establish a secure cloud-based exchange for state government. One of the key initial responsibilities is for ITS to formulate a council of CIOs not later than 1 October. I have reviewed that draft communication that's going to go out across government, and we're set to invite our partners to the table to discuss from a data perspective where we're going. Regarding Executive Order 1584 that our governor signed in January for artificial intelligence, a quick update. The inventory launched on Tuesday, April 15th across all of government. We are somewhere in the neighborhood of about 50% from a compliance perspective. So we are looping back to be sure we have all of that data. Our first deliverable for the governor's order is the creation of an initial report of AI usage in the state. So really in sort of a leading up to any policy or regulatory concerns, that is the first thing that we are doing. That, I think it's important to note, dovetails with Senate Bill 2426, which is an AI regulatory task force that Senator Williams and Representative Ford are running. That meeting initially was held on the 17th of April, and our next session is set for the third week in September. So implementation on AI, ethics, guardrails, policies is moving, and the regulatory piece is in place as well. One thing that we're very excited about that you've heard about as well is our innovation hub for AI in partnership with AWS and the Mississippi Artificial Intelligence Network. The control tower for the hub has been established, and the use case URL is live. So we are up and going on our AI innovation hub. You heard Nita talk about digital services, and I wanted to mention House Bill 1074, this session that the governor also signed, adds 2 entities to our standing e-government oversight committee. It adds archives and history and wildlife fisheries and parks. Our next meeting is slated for August 19. And when we get together, we'll welcome our 2 new partner agencies to that committee. We have a standing 4 quarterly Security Council meetings, which is part of our enterprise security program. Jay and his team have done phenomenal work building consensus. Our last meeting was July 15th, and a couple of metrics for Keith, 53 agencies represented at that quarterly meeting with 73 total attendees. So I think one of the things, Keith, to your point, I wanted to get across is in many different ways, we are sitting down doing part of our key mission, which is building consensus across these technologies and these strategic initiatives, and wanted to mention that one as well. We are waiting for our AI and Workforce Readiness Council, which was a recommendation of our SWIB board and Accelerate Mississippi. We expect a meeting in August, and ITS will be at that table. So this governance structure for AI is going to, as an example, help manage our workforce efforts with NVIDIA that the governor announced, the MyTap grant program, which is an AI talent program. So we'll be at the table there here in about a month. A couple of other quick mentions. National Association of State CIOs, one of our 2 big associations with NASTB and NASTD being the other. They're going to host a leadership summit July 29th through 31st. We're going to be focusing on, I'll be there presenting, we're going to be focusing on emerging leaders and sort of our data component as we attend from a privacy perspective as well. Wanted to mention our 14th annual Digital Government Summit, slated for the 17th of September. Pretty excited about that one. We met with our advisory board. Shout out to all advisory board members. And I've looked at the agenda and it looks amazing. A keynote, a general session, and up to 5 concurrent sessions. So it should be a really good day in September. And Madam Chair, I'll round out with a word of congratulations to Mr. Tom Wicker on his reappointment to the ITS board. If memory holds, I believe he is going to be starting his 5th term.
That's it. That's right.
Madam Chair, that was on my list. Sorry, it was a bit long after a long board meeting, but happy to take questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Director Craig. Any comments, questions? Certainly a lot going on, but lofty goals, busy work. I applaud you. I applaud your leadership, and I would like to echo, thank you, Tom, for the continuity you provide the board and the input. We're glad to have you back.
Thank you, and kudos on your first session as the chair. You had a long agenda and you handled it well.
Thank you. Thank you. Only missed one. Only skipped one.
Keep us on our toes.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, thank you all. Thanks for the input and helping me crank through all of those items pretty quickly. I think the only thing remaining is verification of the quorum for next meeting, which is slated for Thursday, August 21st. I will be available virtually or in person if you also choose. How did we decide to handle that? Craig, can you remind me? Do we decide?
Yeah, so, and Stephanie can chime in too. So we had a calendar that we put forth, and we wanted to sort of remain flexible, Krista, on getting together in person or not. If we do a quorum today, we can loop back and sort of validate an in-person or virtual at your direction.
Originally, wasn't the July meeting slated to be in
It
person?
was, yeah.
And
And
I
so
messed
we
that up.
no, I mean, we sort of did a third, candidly, right? So the idea was a third fully virtual, a third fully in person, and then a third hybrid, which we could do however we wanted. But we'll take your direction and lead. But yes, July was meant to be an in-person, right? I mean, presenting the budget, doing the plan, was sort of eyeball to eyeball on that. But whatever you want us to do, we will.
Okay, well, let's verify a quorum and then maybe we can talk nearer to time how we want it to be.
Sure,
The
happy to do it.
I should be available, Madam Chairman. Likely virtual, but I should be available.
I plan to be available either way.
Yeah, me too.
That sounds
Plans be late.
like a quorum. I don't believe we've heard from Mr. Henderson, but I think we've got a
Fell
quorum.
asleep. My apologies.
That's okay. Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so quorum is verified. I think now all I might need is a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Second, we're out of here. Everyone have a great week. Thank you for your patience and participation in a long meeting.
Thank
Nice
you.
job, and we'll see you all in a month.
Good
Thank
job,
you.
Krista.
Thanks, Keith. Bye-bye.
Recording
Bye.
stopped.